Why do you think Gal's Wonder Woman resonates with so many people?
Because Gal is so in sync with the character as a person. And every once in a while, there is that special phenomenon that happens where a person so intrinsically becomes a character that you can't separate the two. She's such an amazing actress. She'll get to play all kinds of roles. I don't think she'll be someone that playing a superhero holds back, but she also just exudes all of the values of Wonder Woman naturally. And she's so stunningly beautiful as Wonder Woman. It's like ridiculous.
So this time around, it takes place in the 80s. Why did you choose the 80s to tell the next chapter of Wonder Woman's story?
Because I wanted to make sure that if we made a second film, no one involved with it would ever think we knew how to do this, or it was more of the same. I wanted it to be an absolute challenge, to challenge ourselves to make the greatest movie we could make. And so I wanted to change the context completely and make a completely different film with even bigger ambitions. So the 80s is like the polar opposite of 1917 and World War I. It's instead of learning about warfare, she comes in to the height of opulence and excess before there was any idea that there would be a price. And I wanted to run her into villains born of that belief system.
So Steve Trevor, he's back. Can you talk a little bit about working with Gal and Chris on the movie this time around?
It's funny because we are such a family now. The first movie, we were giddy with Revelation, just seeing how incredible they were. This time, we're just all really, really good friends. I've worked with both of them so much at this point, and had even done the limited series with Chris in between the two movies. So, I know them. I know how to direct them so well, and so it was just delightful because you're just shorthand. You can just do it, and still they make me laugh, and make each other laugh, and so it's a blast.
Now, as a fan first, how did you feel seeing Gal in the golden armor suit for the first time?
Oh my God, so excited! Here's the funny thing: the first time she walked onto that set in the golden armor, it had been a real struggle to build that armor, as you could imagine. And she walked up to me and she said, "I'm a little worried it's not that comfortable." And I said, I've never done this to Gal, but I just sort of said, it's just too bad. You're gonna have to wear it. We're not, because sometimes she will, can we take something off and then you could do it in CG? I was like, no, it's gonna be painful, but you got to do all your action in it and everything, because I'm not letting you take that suit off. It was so incredible, but we worked on making it more comfortable. I didn't try to torture her.
So the cast seems to really get along and have fun together. How important was it to, have that kind of tone on set while working on the film throughout, all of production?
I don't prioritize. I do care a lot about having a very organized and healthy set. I don't prioritize quality of life, friendship over great work. I would hire somebody I super don't like if I thought they were the right person for the what I need in the movie. However, because this movie is so about love and joy, it certainly makes sense that having it off screen and on screen was kind of important. If people came onto set and they wanted to leave, I don't think we would have gotten what we got, because a lot of it is I couldn't get them to leave. They were all on set all the time and making each other laugh. But that's the tone that shows up in a lot of the improv they do, and just messing around and having a great time. If they didn't like each other, it would have been very different.
So what do you think Pedro and Kristen bring to their characters as Maxwell and Barbara in this, new chapter of Wonder Woman?
Excellence and depth. I think they're both they're so great at what they do, but also both of them are real character actors. Kristen started as an actor, not as a comedian. So they're so skilled, and they're both so brilliant.
So I'm going to switch it up and we're going to go to the technical side now. But can you discuss working with Lindy and Aline to create your vision of 1984 for this film?
Yeah. So I had a lot of very big creative meetings with everybody very early on. And we set a couple mandates. First of all, I wanted it to feel like a movie that was made in the 80s, not about the 80s. So what that means is, you just have to be there. You don't funny ha-ha and point at things. You don't make a movie about the 80s. It's a movie that just happens to be there. So it meant the detail had to be perfect, and we couldn't roll around in things. that said, what ends up happening there is that there are all kinds of hilarious and interesting and beautiful things. I also made a presentation to everybody about how important it was that we didn't just have the worst of the 80s, that we also had the best of the 80s. So we would look at Details magazine and listen to the great music and look at the great art and the great fashion. And so like Diana is the best of the 80s, her clothing, you know, and a lot of the interiors are the best of the 80s that Aline did, and some of them are the worst of the 80s. So it was really interesting to just kind of get yourself into a place where you wanted to really feel everything.
And you have, you know, Hans Zimmer himself, a member of an 80s pop band, creating your score. How do the two of you work together to literally set the right tone of the movie?
Lots and lots of conversation. We had a very shared vision right from the start, where it was funny. We thought we would do needle drop somewhere, but then both of us arrived at the fact that like, there's something, as soon as you do that, you're outside of yourself saying, oh, I love that song. That's not right for this movie, actually. It needed its own authentic score. And it got more and more sincere, and not even just based on 80s music. I think that influenced it a lot, but it's a classical score, really, in many ways. So Hans is a genius. Hans is always very busy. So it was a combination of his genius and me pestering the Shazam out of him to get to more, very apropos of the movie. Come on, Hans, let's do more. But we had a great time.
So the film, you know, it shoots in DC, but there's also, you know, you shot abroad as well. Can you talk more about the international nature of the production?
Yeah, when I look at the landscape of superheroes, I set out to want Diana to be the James Bond of superheroes. I want her to be a massive international spectacle. And so that was really important to me. It was important to actually see it with your own eyes and not just have little cutaways that, you know, were done on a green screen. And so it was very challenging for our producers and the financiers, but it was incredible. I felt so supported. We went all over the world and shot such different places. And I hope I want Diana to be a superhero of the world.
All right, well, I'm going to wrap it up here with one final question. But, you know, you've talked about your love of superhero movies in the past and, you know, just today with me. But this film expands on that genre in unexpected ways. Can you talk about what you love about the genre and how Wonder Woman 1984 breaks the mold?
Yeah, I love the genre because to me, it's the closest thing to our most classic tradition of storytelling, which is we have always used familiar characters to tell tales that help us process the things we experience in life, you know, religious figures and, you know, Greek myth, all of those things. So I see that opportunity. I don't think that everybody takes it, but so for me to have this character that people love, that they will come and see, to explore things on the deepest level that I am curious to explore while still making something joyful that you can watch and have a great time with. I just love that. I love that about it. I have a saying, which is that I feel like art house Oscar films too often let themselves off the hook of being successful and entertaining films often let themselves off the hook for being profound. And so I think it's important for both sides to try a little harder at the other.